What is up, folks? Welcome back to another ice fishing adventure. And we are here at this beautiful little pond. You probably know if you follow my videos at all. And there's a lot of brook trout in here, so I'm excited. I'm gonna get ice fishing here shortly. But my plan is to get a big fire going, get some nice coals, and make a nice fire. And cook on the fire and make some brook trout tacos. But as you can probably see out there, there is quite a bit of open water. That is where the stream flows out of the pond. So I'm not sure. I'm gonna go over there right now, see how thick the ice is. It should be thick right there. I mean, it looks pretty thick. And if it's thick right there, we'll be safe because that is kind of flowing water. But if not, we might have to change up our plans a little bit. Alright, folks, let's give it a test. Oh dear. So, that's not good. Shoot! So the shores are usually the thinnest, but that is ridiculous. I mean, Yeti can walk on it. Okay, folks. So right out here, it is pretty thick. And I'm going to be extremely safe. There's no point falling in. It is only about 2 to 3 feet deep right here at the deepest spot. Right here, it's only like 3 feet deep. So if I fall in, it's not the end of the world. But it's like about 3 inches thick right here. And it looks, out in the middle, out there, I can tell it's really thick. I can see like bubbles frozen in the ice like 6 inches down. So as it's just me, I'm gonna drill some holes right here. I'm gonna see how thick it is. Yeah, it should be safe. Oh yeah. That is more than enough to support me. So long as I fish in this area, I'll be more than safe. Sweet. Alrighty, folks, I'm gonna get fishing here shortly, but like I said, I want to get a fire going, and I want to end up cooking some brook trout, making some brook trout tacos. So I don't want to have to worry about getting firewood ready. So while it's still kind of early in the day, I'm gonna go get all the firewood ready that I need, so that when the time comes, I got everything ready. Alright, folks, I got a pretty good pile of wood right there, and when the time comes, I'm just gonna use all this bark and little branches and stuff to get the fire up and going. I'm gonna want to start a pretty big fire here pretty soon because I want to have a lot of really nice coals to cook on. So yeah, I'm gonna get a fire going here sooner rather than later. But for now, let's go see if we can catch any fish. Alrighty, folks, like I said, right here, it's only about 3 feet deep. But that's great. I catch fish here right here all the time. As you might have seen if you've seen my videos before, I was pulling fish out from right under where I'm standing. And brook trout, especially this time of the year, having it being fall, just getting over, their spawning season's done. They're hanging out in pretty shallow areas, so I'm going to drill a couple holes right here, see what's hanging out right here. Folks, and as far as bait goes, I've just got this little pink and white jig tied on. It's done well in the past. Hopefully it'll get the job done today. Let's see what's lurking around. It's a big fish. Just like that, folks, we hooked up. Check it out, folks. It only took about 5 minutes, and we already have ourselves a beautiful little brook trout. It's a good sign right there. Get this guy back in the water. See ya. Off he goes. Sweet, we're on the board. I was ice fishing yesterday, and it was hot, man. Like, I could have been in a t-shirt if I wanted to. It might have got up to like 60 degrees. Today, that is not the case. It might end up snowing here in a minute. I saw a number of fish right here a moment ago, right as I was catching that one. So I'm gonna dead stick this pole, and it seemed like all the fish were coming from kind of this area. So I'm gonna go chop a few more holes. Alrighty, folks, I've got 3 holes set up, each one at a different depth, and I can just kind of bounce around between them, and yeah. So my initial plan was actually to ice fish over there more, kind of towards those bushes. I would argue that's a better spot. It's just got a deeper hole, and there's more fish hanging out in that area, but as you can see, there's a lot of open water there, so I didn't want to risk it. Well, that was pretty much instant. Oh. Oh my gosh. Just go back in. Slippery. Whew. See, folks, that's why it's good to switch around spots. If some spot is slowing down, then switch to another spot, and you see, just like that, drilled a new hole, instantly caught the second fish of the day. Whenever you're ice fishing, especially on a cold day like this one, I recommend you bring a rag of some sorts. That way, when you're handling the fish, and then when you put the fish back and your hands are all wet, you can dry your hands off before you put them back in your gloves. That can be a real lifesaver, because wet gloves on a day like this is one of the most miserable things that can happen. It is a chilly day. Whew. Good thing I'm bundled up. Alrighty, folks, like I said, I want to have some coals to cook on, and coals take a minute to get created. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a fire going right now so that the coals will be ready. Today we are going to be starting a fire with flint and steel. Should be fun. life. Allah, we have life. Alrighty folks, so I'd say that I got that fire going pretty quickly considering the fact that I was using flint steel. So I'm just gonna let this fire smolder here for a bit. Just gonna let it burn. Yeah, hopefully I'll make some nice hot coals. And yeah, let's get back to fishing. Alright folks, we got that fire burning. When you wanna make coals, especially like coals to cook on, you wanna have some bigger logs. Those are gonna make some bigger coals that'll be more effective for cooking. But yeah, now let's get back to fishing. The fishing's been kind of slow. I've only been fishing for maybe 20-30 minutes and caught 2 fish, so it's not terrible. But the next keeper, I'm definitely going to keep and cook up. Oh, folks, this is a monster. Oh. Check this out, folks. Look at the size of this fish. This is a little bit bigger than what I would like to keep, but I hooked him way back there in the gills, and as you can see, he's bleeding. So he's probably not gonna survive if we send her back. So beautiful fish right here. I'll get this guy out of his misery real quick. All right, folks, there you have it. There's dinner. Beautiful little brook trout right here, pretty plump. Should make for some great tacos. Yeah, we'll go. Our fire's still smoldering a little bit, so we'll let those coals continue to get made. And in the meantime, see if we can catch ourselves any more. Oh, look at that. Check that out, another beautiful little brook trout. I mean, look at the colors on that guy. Just absolutely stunning. We'll get him right back in the water. Off he goes. So the brook trout in here, the trout in here are really aggressive. Pretty much as soon as I'm seeing a fish, they're attacking it. But the thing is, I'm just not seeing a ton of fish, which usually isn't a problem here. So I think they might just all be in a different spot. So I'm gonna go drill a few holes back that way here in just a minute. Alright folks, the fishing is starting to get a little bit slow. I've chopped up a couple other holes, I still haven't seen any. So I think now I'm going to go ahead and gut my fish and get ready to make some tacos. Alrighty folks, so I went ahead and I chopped up another hole because I don't want to throw the guts down the same hole that I'm fishing in. So we got our beautiful little brook trout right here. I've got 2 different options for the ways that I could gut him. I could just take all the guts out and kind of cook him whole. But I think I'm going to fillet him because in the past I've done fillet jobs and they work out really good. And that way I have less bones. Alright, so first, get all the guts out. still flopping around, and it's been dead for 15 minutes. Nervous system still acting up. A beautiful first fillet. Pretty good if I do say so myself. Look at that orange meat. Beautiful. Second fillet. Second fillet, not quite as good, but my hands are freezing. Oh man, that feels good. Sweet. And what I'm going to do with the fillets, I'm actually just going to cook them in a tinfoil. I cooked them like that last time and it worked out great. Or a few times ago, before I had my channel, I cooked them in some tinfoil. It turned out great. So I'm going to do that again. I'm also going to put a little bit of arugula in there as well. That usually gives it a nice flavor. Whew. Alrighty folks, we got some here, we got some diced potatoes. Those need to cook the longest out of the vegetables I'm cooking, so I'll put those in first. Probably don't need all of them. Should be good. Alright, the potatoes have been cooking for a while now, so now I'm going to go ahead and add some bell peppers, onions, and whatever else is in there. Alright folks, the potatoes are starting to look crispy. Let's give them a try. That is good. I'm looking forward to this. Alright, I think our fish is done. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna let it sit on this peak of bark for a minute to let it cool. And then we'll see if it's, I might throw it into the pan for a minute if it's a little bit still not cooked all the way, but we'll have to see. And what I'm going to do with my taco shells is I'm gonna cook them in there for a little bit just to get them a little bit toasted on each side. Alrighty folks, I think it's time to dish up. Beautifully toasted. Check that out, folks. Slow cooked to perfection. And it smells absolutely amazing. All right, folks, let's give the fish a try. It just falls right off the bone. The skin just peels right off. That's how you know it's cooked all the way. Give ourselves a nice little bite. Beautiful orange brook trout. Caught a foot underneath me when I was standing about 20 yards that way. Let's give it a try. That's pretty good. It's a little bit bland, which is what I was expecting considering the fact that I was only cooking with salt, pepper, and butter. Which is fine because that's why I wanted to do tacos, because it'll add a bunch of flavor to it. But yeah, I think it really cooked a lot of the fishiness out of it. There's like no fishiness, which I hate the fishy flavor. So this is pretty darn good. I'm gonna add a little bit of green sauce to just give it a little bit more extra flavor. All right, check it out, folks. Taco number 1. It's got fresh brook trout, bell peppers, potatoes, onions, and a little bit of green sauce. Let's give it a try. That is good. So, I would definitely recommend this, especially if you're someone who wants to cook trout or fish, but you just can't get over that fishy flavor. This is a great way to do it. Cooking it in tinfoil with butter and all sorts of different seasoning is a great way to do that. But also just making tacos, you add a bunch of extra, you can add all sorts of vegetables, anything you want, all sorts of sauces to help contradict or take out that fishy flavor. And I would definitely recommend this. This is my favorite cooked fish that I've ever had so far. I'm gonna put extra trout on this one. If that's not a taco, I don't know what is. Last bite of brook trout going down the hatch. Alrighty, folks, that was delicious. Definitely recommend trout tacos. But for now, I'm gonna go do a couple dishes and see if I can catch a few more fish before we head out. Alrighty, folks, well, I got all the dishes clean, my belly's nice and full, and the four-wheeler's loaded up and ready to go. So now we can focus on fishing until we gotta leave. No. Check that out, folks. Beautiful brook trout, number 5 or 6, I believe. Beautiful guy. As soon as I dropped it down there, he just came out, pump faked, and then smashed it. We'll get this guy back in the water. Fishing's gotten pretty slow, so I'm gonna use some worms. I normally try to avoid using worms because sometimes when you use worms, it's harder to catch and release. Sometimes they swallow the hook too deep and it will be impossible to let them go. But since I'm using a jig with a little J hook, I think it'll be fine, especially since I'm sight fishing. I won't let them eat it for too long. So yeah, I'm gonna put a worm on there and hopefully it'll entice the fish enough to swim on over and have a bite. Oh, got one. Sweet, there we go. Oh, pops right off. Sweet, folks, there you have it. That is a beautiful fish right there. It's the first fish that we've caught or even seen in quite a while. And look at its lip. It's got kind of a scar right there. Huh. Nonetheless, a beautiful fish, and we'll get her right back in the water. See ya. Well, folks, I just turned my camera off because it's getting pretty low on battery and it like started to freeze or something, so it wasn't filming. But I just caught another beautiful brook trout. This is the reddest one of them all. I drilled one more hole right here next to these other 3 by this thing. Yep, we'll let this guy go. Off he goes. Alright, folks, so I'm back at home base right now, actually, and the last clip you saw was of me releasing that red brook trout that I just caught off camera. For some reason, my camera said it was at like 11%, and then it would just shut off and would turn back on for like 5 seconds, so I was able to get that footage, and then it just shut right back off and didn't turn back on. So yeah, I made it back to home base. After I caught that fish, I ended up just packing it up and heading home. But yeah, other than that, hopefully you all enjoyed this epic adventure. And make sure to stay tuned because this is just the beginning of an epic winter of ice fishing. And I'll catch you in the next ice fishing adventure.